Too many Toyotas. Hello everybody, this is Triple T or Too Many Toyotas here today with Pulsar Part 8, where I go over my Pulsar 4a-ge swap and tell you what's going on with it. So, in the months I've been absent, I've just done a ton of the boring stuff, like wiring, which a lot of that is done. So like stuff like VVTi, crank sensor, the trigger's on there now. It's a 36 tooth wheel on a dual row pulley with Hall sensor on it. Are you getting that in there? Oh, I gotta go on him. Dude, just go down there. I got my cameraman again today. So there's the crank wheel with the Hall sensor. And then the cam sensor, the cam angle sensor on these, I have this block off plate on here. The cam angle sensor on these is actually compatible with modifications to standalone ECU. You just use the factory connector, run it to the ECU's cam signal. And then I just have to take that cover back off there and basically it's a 24 tooth wheel. It's a 24 tooth wheel, and then I need to grind it down so there's 4 teeth and then 1 extra tooth on, basically a tooth every 90 degrees and then 1 extra one. I don't know exactly how it works, but that's what I read. So yeah, I guess we'll have to figure that one out. So, and then I built this custom battery tray, which is like really redneck and stupid, but it works. So I have the old relay box hooked up to it and everything, and I have all the ECU power wires hooked up to these big copper things. Basically it works. It's not pretty. That's the whole point of everything I've ever done. So yeah, in here then, the fuel pump used to run off the ECU. So you can see right here I got the relay for the fuel pump right here behind the dash, and I have it wired up. It's a ground side switch now. So, well, the ECU used to ground it, so the ECU's not there anymore, so I'm just going to run a ground side switch to, I have the bezel that goes here. There's a bezel on the dash with like, it has 2 blanking switches that are, basically it has headlight switch and then wiper intermittent, and then there's 2 blanking switches, so I'm just going to put that switch between those 2 blanking switches on the dash. I think it'll look good. I actually already test fitted it in the housing and everything, and it fits. I had to use a Dremel tool and drill it out. So that'll be that once the dash is in, which I still haven't done. I'm probably going to do that next actually, because I just finished all the wiring. The reason why mostly, and I haven't pulled the dash yet, is because the I haven't put the dash back in yet, is because this here's the blower motor assembly, and I'm gonna do like quick story time, because like about 3 years ago when I was daily driving this car, I took it out of hibernation and I took it over to a friend's house that lives about 25 miles away, and it was a cold night and I used the heater, and I was on the highway. I'm like, you know, someone must be having a campfire in that neighborhood by the highway. Like, that's nice. It's a good night for that, cold, you know, like good campfire night. And like the smell just kept on getting stronger. I'm like, I'm going pretty fast, man. Like, shouldn't this be going away or something? Or like, that must have been a pretty big ass campfire. And then it was at that moment I noticed the smoke rolling out of the vents, and basically I feel like this entire chamber in here, well, you can still see all the shit in there. So at some point we caught all that on fire. So the only thing that saved this car from certain destruction was me putting the blower motor on recirc. It's just big brain time. Just no oxygen. Turn the car off, turn the blower motor off, and put it on recirc and hope for the best. And it worked. So yeah, if you have any, if you ever store your vehicles outside, make sure you have adequate mouse protection. Otherwise, don't use your heater until you make sure it's blown out. But yeah, the reason I didn't put the dash back in yet is because the blower motor housing right here is right in the way of the only hole in the firewall that's accessible for putting wires through. And I already went through that whole ordeal once when I put my subwoofer in about 2 years ago. And I don't know if I'm putting that back in or not. The amp in the box kind of sat in the garage for a while and it's all wet and rotted out, so probably won't have that no more. But this wire here was for the sub, and I had to put it through that same hole that I put all this wiring through. And I remember how much of a pain it was to get past the blower motor and do that, so I just decided, well, I have the dash out, just pull the whole blower motor and have the hole right there. Alright, we're back. I had to do a camera cut. The camcorder battery died. So, as I was saying, only wires left behind here that I gotta just curl up. These wires all right here are for signal grounds. They're for like, if I wanted to add extra sensors like, let's see, like a wastegate pressure sensor. I don't know, I'm just like talking out of my ass right now. The, like different sensors that would require a 5-volt ground that aren't already in there, those are extras for that. And then these here are extras for general purpose input-output, like if I wanted to run, let's say like a gauge for, you see, this is why I have this stuff extra in here. I don't need it. There are, you know, I just read a bunch of cool stuff you can do with these, but you don't really need them. I don't know.
They're for boomer gauges.
Yeah, well, I don't know what boomer gauges. I mean, just trying to think. Oh yeah, it's if you wanted to run like, if you wanted to have your fuel pump run off the ECU or something, and you didn't want to like wire it separately, you could use the ECU to turn your fuel pump on or something like that. There was a bunch of other stuff like that that I saw that people were writing about that they've done with them, but like, I don't need the ECU to turn my fuel pump on, so I think we're good. And then over here, I have a bunch of stuff about axles I can talk about. So this right here is the axle stub for a 1998 Corolla. It's the left side. It's a left side axle. And then, as you can see, the right side axle, well, this is for an 01 Celica, but it's the same thing. So it's a little bit longer, as you can see. So the problem I'm having right now is I could use, if I could put a left side axle on the right side, then it would be exactly the right size. Like this would be the right length for what I need. But the slip joint here, this is the silver top slip joint that came with the car. Or came not with the car, with the engine. And I think both of these are actually the big ones. But the point is, the Corolla left side axle has these slip joint bearings that are too small for this. Like you'll have like rotational play in here. And then the right side axle, this is that Celica right side axle. This actually fits on. This actually fits in here. Yeah, 2001 Celica stuff fits in 1993. Yeah, basically, the way I learn a lot of things, too many Toyotas learns a lot of things, is I just go to the junkyard and start ripping stuff apart and seeing what fits and what doesn't fit. Like, I mean, that's how I found out about these 98 Corolla axles. And it's also how I found out about the way I set that up. And I don't know if there's actually there's gonna be an explanation in one of my review videos I'm making will come out sometime. But basically what I did is, I went to the junkyard and I got a 1998 Corolla axle and a hub. Those. Because I knew that like it was mostly the same as an older Corolla. I mean, they switched over the transmission and the bell housing, but they didn't actually switch over like, well, that's what I was there to find out. So, to figure out if they switched the hubs or anything like that. And then I went there and I got that hub and that bearing. And I figured out using like O'Reilly's and some other parts interchange stuff that the outside diameter of a Toyota Corolla axle or a hub is actually the same outer diameter as the inside diameter of a Nissan wheel bearing. So you can press that Toyota hub into a Nissan wheel bearing, and that's what I have done there. The only problem is, can I have the camera?
Yeah.
It's easier if I do it. So, you can see there it actually doesn't engage all the way to the back. It's because the only difference between the Nissan and Toyota bearings, one of them is interchange number something like 413007 and the other one's 008. They're almost the exact same bearing, but the Nissan one is deeper. So I had the Corolla hubs cut down about a 1/4 inch. I wish I had one to show you. I don't. But it's like the Nissan one it's about that tall just of hub surface, and then the Corolla one, it's like that tall of hub surface, and then another step that is the same diameter as this axle. So I had that step cut down a 1/4 inch, and then it sticks out the same as a Nissan brake rotor. So I actually got it slightly wrong, so you can see I had to put in some spacers, just washers to keep the brakes taken out. So there's another section of that video somewhere else. I can go into more detail when I have more time. But yeah, and by the way, I do have like a new set of brakes for this thing. I'm not just gonna run these rusty rotors. They're all in the back. It's like the last thing I'm gonna do, because it's probably gonna sit outside again before it's done. But yeah, and then another cool thing, I actually was able to use the old alternator connection. It's the same cable that was on the Nissan. I just have the orange cable down there, and then the 2 cables run around from the... Basically, the Nissan alternator was a 2-wire, and the Toyota's a 3-wire, and the 3rd wire on the Toyota is just a lamp circuit, so you can use that. And then up here I have the stuff for my AEM wideband that I'm going to be putting in. And basically I'm going to start on the dash soon, just the dashboard gauges and things. So yeah, I guess we'll make another video when that happens. So this Triple T or 2 Minute Toyota signing off.